Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Salman Sheikh from Best Cloud Prep, and today's lecture is how to build a highly available, secure, and fault-tolerant application on AWS. And just remember, in this example, it is not going to be serverless, so we won't be using Lambda or anything. So let's start. So firstly, let's look at the components of the architecture that we're going to design. So we'll have a VPC. In this particular example, I'm taking 4 subnets, that is 2 private and 2 public. We then have an application load balancer, EC2 instances for our compute, an auto-scaling group that scales the instances horizontally, and a PostgreSQL database replicated across to a different availability zone. Now before we start, let's look at this concept, that is infrastructure as a code. So in essence, basically, rather than building your own infrastructure with AWS user interface, you can actually write a specification code that you require. Now this specification is then provided to AWS CloudFormation, which then spins up the underlying services for you automatically. Like, you don't have to worry about infrastructure. Now moving on to CIDR block, this is another very good concept that you should understand clearly. So basically it is within a VPC. CIDR stands for classless inter-domain routing. So basically inside your VPC you will have subnets. For those subnets you need some IP ranges in order for them to communicate. So a CIDR is a way of expressing a range of IP addresses, and the notation looks like as follows. So as you can see, XXYYZZ WW/C. So basically it's like 255.255.255.255/32. This will result in only one IP address, and that is 255.255.255.255. But if you look at /24/16, accordingly, you will get 256 IP addresses for /24, and for /16 you will get 65,536 IP addresses. So basically the formula is at the bottom. Just look at the last point. The C value is 32 minus C. So basically if it is 32, the C, 32 minus 32, 2 raised to power 0 is equals 1. So that is single IP address. So similarly, you can calculate this. So remember this formula and everything will be easier. Now let's look at the subnets that we are going to have. So within a VPC, we can create subnets where we specify the CIDR block for the subnet, as I mentioned earlier, which is a subset of the VPC CIDR block. So with the VPC, we have a CIDR block, and then with subnets, we have CIDR blocks as well. So notice how we have 4 subnets contained within our VPC. So that is 10.0.0.0/24, 0.1.0/24, 2.0/3.0/24. So we have defined these 4 subnets, these CIDR blocks for our 4 subnets within our VPC, which is 10.0.0.0/16. So remember this. Now for a more fun part, let's adding EC2 instances to our public subnet. So we have 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets. So we will do this part in a few steps, as there will be a few moving parts. So let's jump right into it. Now spinning up an EC2 instance with CloudFormation, adding a security group to that EC2 instance so that we can access it, taking down our EC2 instance and using launch configurations and auto-scaling groups instead, and placing our instances in our VPC. So basically these are the steps that we need to follow. So firstly, we'll add a security group to our EC2 instance so that we can access. So then we'll take down our EC2 instance using launch configuration and auto scaling groups instead. And then we'll place our instances in our VPC. So we can't directly just go in and add EC2 instances to our VPC. These are the steps that we need to follow. So remember these. So your instances has a security group assigned to it, which acts as a firewall around it, as you can see. So when you create an EC2 instance, there would be a security group around it. So by default, this security group will not let the traffic into your instance. So by default, security groups do not allow traffic in. So to get around this, we can create a security group in CloudFormation that does allow HTTP traffic in and then assigns this to our EC2 instances. Now placing our auto scaling group in our, so the next step is to place auto scaling group in our VPC. And auto scaling group, as the name implies, is a group of resources that scales in and out. So basically it adds or subtracts. So in a layman term, just remember that. It adds or subtracts our EC2 instances. A launch configuration is a resource that describes how an instance should be launched, but does not launch an instance itself. So launch configuration is basically, you can say, it is a set that describes resources that how an instance should be launched. So just remember that it is like a package. Now place our auto scaling group in our VPC. After placing our auto scaling group in our VPC, as you can see, now we'll add internet access to our VPC and public subnets. Obviously, you don't want internet access to our private subnets. Now that our instances are auto-scaled across our public subnets in our VPC, it is time we enable internet access so that we can visit them. Well, your VPC now has internet access, but your subnets do not. So after you give access to your VPC will have internet access, but obviously your subnets won't by default. So earlier I mentioned how we define public-private subnets as subnets that have or do not have internet access respectively. So basically, to provide internet access, we will need to make use of route tables. For now, architecture looks like this. So we have auto scaling group, we have 4 subnets, we have VPC, and then we have internet gateway to our VPC. So at the moment, we have done all this. Now, moving on to route tables. Just remember, we are using route tables to add internet access to our subnets. A route table contains a set of routes called routes or routes that are used to determine where network traffic to and from your subnet is directed. So, I guess most of you know what route tables does. So basically, it determines where network traffic to and from your subnet is directed, like where to divert your traffic, or who can access your traffic, like who can access the resources. Adding a load balancer, that's another step. So now that our instances are auto-scaled across our 2 public subnets, it would be fantastic if we didn't have to go to their IP addresses every time we wish to request a website. So what you can do is you can actually put a load balancer in front of your auto scaling group and then always just point out to the application load balancer so that you don't have to worry about any IP address of your EC2 instance. Every time any traffic that's coming in or going out will hit your load balancer. Instead, we will use a load balancer that will route our request accordingly. At the end of this step, our architecture will look like this. So now, as you can see, any traffic coming in through Internet Gateway, it's our load balancer. And doesn't matter if one EC2 instance goes offline and a new one comes in with a new IP address, it will add it to the route table automatically, but the traffic decision that where it should go, which EC2 instances should deal with it, is done at load balancer level. So now all of this requires quite a few new resources in our CloudFormation template. So remember, we are working through our CloudFormation template. We're not doing it manually one by one through UI, user interface. An application load balancer, a security group for our load balancer, a target group for the group of instances our load balancer will forward traffic to, a listener associated with our load balancer that forwards traffic to the target group, a link between the target group and autoscaling group. Basically, the whole idea is that your application, your load balancer should be able to communicate effectively and direct traffic to your EC2 instances in your public subnet. So for all that, which is behind an autoscaling group, in order to achieve all that, you need to follow these steps. So this can be a bit tricky to understand. So I have drawn this process in a diagram. So basically, your traffic is coming to load balancer. Now from load balancer, then you will have your target groups. And from your target groups, you will have your autoscaling group behind it. And then you have your EC2 instance. Now comes security. This is very important part of any architecture. So you really want to design secure network or architecture. So now we have our wonderful load balancer, but you can still access the instances through their public IP address because they are still there. We can lock this down by altering the instance security groups to only allow incoming traffic from the load balancer. So basically, you can use security groups to allow incoming traffic from only the load balancer. So instead of providing a CIDR from where traffic can come from, we can specify the load balancer security group instead. So does it make sense? So in a security group of your EC2 instance, you'll make this change. So you will only allow traffic from your load balancer and deploy these changes, and you will notice that when you access the instance public IP address, you will time out. But when you use the load balancer URL, you will see the website. So after this is done, then you can actually test. It is a very good practice to test each and everything that you do. Now in conclusion, the final step in this tutorial is to deploy a database in our private subnet. Our final diagram now looks as follows. So I hope this gives you a better picture of a practical example of how basically an architecture is designed using AWS platform. So you have a VPC, then you'll have Internet Gateway, then after Internet Gateway you have load balancer at front that is going to go to public subnets, which has autoscaling group, and then you have EC2. EC2 has its own security groups. These are in public subnets, so remember this. And then you have your private subnets, and that has databases, that is cross availabilities or replication. And then obviously you'll have to make sure that your EC2 instance from public can access or can communicate with your database. Okay, so at the end, I would like to acknowledge and thank Mr. Andrew for posting this online. For full lecture, please visit the web link below, and I hope it helped you understand how a practical approach to designing an infrastructure is using CloudFormation. So that is it, guys, for this lecture. Hopefully you've learned a lot, and hope to see you in the next lecture.